Rev it up and welcome to Cars Yeah, show number 2219. Be prepared to be inspired.
This is Cars Yeah, where you'll enjoy interviews with inspiring automotive enthusiasts. Mark Green is here to provide you with a fuel injection of automotive inspiration. So get in, sit down, buckle up, and get ready for a wild ride here on Cars Yeah.
Hello, inspiring automotive enthusiasts, and welcome to Cars Yeah. Today I'm in Lake Villa, Illinois, with a very special guest by the name of Patrick Krook. Patrick, welcome to Cars Yeah. Do you have any gear, and are you ready to release the clutch?
Yeah, brother. Let's let her rip.
All right, we'll have some fun. Now, before I give you a proper introduction and we talk about this very cool new book you've authored, what's one little thing that maybe people don't know about Patrick Krook?
Probably that in addition to being a car guy, I'm also an avid mountain biker. I race mountain bikes in the wintertime.
Whoa, in the wintertime?
Yes, that's right. 30-mile. The race I love to do is annually first weekend in November in Traverse City, Michigan. That's a 30-mile mountain bike race, and it usually attracts between 3,000 and 4,000 other racers.
Oh my gosh. Holy cow. That's incredible. Well, and is there snow there by that time of year that you're riding in?
It's a great time of year because it really depends. You can get there and the Iceman could be the nice man. It could be 60 and beautiful and dry. Or it could have rained like it did this year for 12 hours prior to race start.
Oh, no.
And then drop down. Or you can have snow. So you really have to be prepared to race in any weather.
Yeah. Wow. Well,
yeah, love it.
My hat's off to you. That sounds pretty brave. I used to do a lot of bike riding back in the day and go on long distance ride. This was way back in high school and college and a little bit beyond. I think the longest one I ever did was Tecate to Ensenada in Mexico. And I think that was about 80 miles, something like that. And the first time I did it, I was in high school, and my friends and I, it's a large group of people that do this ride, and you have support vehicles that go ahead and stop. You can stop and, get something to eat and drink. But we did it on Stingrays, which was a bad idea. Don't ever do that.
Nope. Okay, duly noted. I will make sure that does not happen.
Yeah, one gear Stingray with a lot of hills and going against the ocean breeze. By the time you get there, your legs basically freeze up and cramp up and don't work anymore. So I remember that. I was like, oh my gosh, I can't walk. But it was a fun ride. So next year we did it on 10 speeds. It was much easier.
That's actually one of the things about Iceman that is really entertaining, because all of the hills, the majority of the climbing done in that race is done in the last 8 miles of the 30-mile race.
Ooh.
And so you'll be cranking next to somebody, and some of these hills have between an 8 and 10% grade.
Oh my goodness, yeah.
And so their legs will just lock up and they'll just fall over like a cartoon.
Yep, yeah. Once your legs say I'm done, they're done.
Boom.
Yeah.
So, it's a ton of conditioning. It's absolutely a ton of conditioning.
Yeah, for sure. Well, that's quite interesting. That's why I like that question. You never know what you're going to get. Well, let me give you a proper introduction. Patrick Krook began his obsession in all things automotive as a little toddler, handing his father tools to fix the family truckster. It was a 1973 Ford Custom 500 Ranch Wagon. Today, he owns and runs Rev Muscle Cars. They do all sorts of things there that we're going to learn about. His career has included traveling the world and building some of the most storied and exclusive private car collections. He's helped transform private collections into public museums, most notably the Wellborn Muscle Car Museum. Patrick is also a freelance journalist, a photographer, and market analyst for publications including Mopar Collector's Guide and the Motor Trend family of magazine titles. His most recent book is titled How to Buy and Sell Collector Cars, providing the beginner and seasoned seller with a multitude of wisdom and advice, published by our friends at Car Tech. We'll be back in just a moment, but first a word from our sponsors, so give them a little love. They put the fuel in the tanks here, and we'll be right back. I've enjoyed the quality and variety of Lloyd's floor mats for decades now, and I'm super excited to report that Lloyd's Mat Store is now part of the Covercraft family of products. Car care that protects the things that move you. Lloyd's floor mats are the ultimate in quality and fit with carpet mats, all-weather mats, velour tex, Berber, classic loop carpet, and they're proudly made in the USA. They're designed and sewn with the highest of quality and offer custom fitment for almost any vehicle. There's a wide variety of styles, fabrics, and colors to choose from, and hundreds of licensed logos as well. Protect your vehicle's factory carpets from moisture, dirt, mud, snow, slush, anything that Mother Nature can throw your way. All of your options are quality made, easy to clean, they secure to the floor, and they look oh so good. Check out Lloyd's Mat Store for a wide variety of styles, colors, and options for your vehicle today. And I've got a special deal for you. If you use the code CARSYEAH, CARSYEAH at LloydsMatStore.com, you'll get $10 off. Just use the code CARSYEAH at LLOYDMATSSTORE.com, LloydsMatStore.com, Covercraft and Lloyd's Mats, protecting the things that move you. When it was time to renew my collector car policy, my carrier raised my rates by a lot. But why? My usage was the same, my car's value was the same, and I had never made a claim. I didn't even have a ticket. The only change was their rate, and they had no reason why. What's with that? I researched my options, I spoke to others, and with American Collectors Insurance, what a difference. A live person actually answers the phone. She spent time learning about me and provided a reasonable quote. Why wait until your next premium is due? Give them a call today for your personal agreed value quote. Call 866-AC1-YEAH. That's 866-224-9324. Tell them you're a friend of mine, Mark Green at Cars Yeah. American Collectors Insurance, classic car insurance designed by collectors for collectors, automotive enthusiasts just like you and me. That's American Collectors Insurance. I've teamed up with AutoGeek because, well, they've been the leading source of auto detailing products, accessories for more than 20 years. Their Pinnacle Sovereign Paste Wax is specially formulated from Brazilian carnauba wax. It's easy to apply on any paint surface and provides that warm glow that we love, especially me on my vehicles. You're going to love it too. A favorite of car shows countrywide, Pinnacle Sovereign Paste Wax from AutoGeek wipes on easily, requires no drying time, is easy to remove, and provides up to 90 days of protection against damaging environmental contaminants. This wax is designed to exceed the standards of the most discriminating enthusiasts and collectors. Go to autogeek.net to get yours for the best product selection on the internet today, along with their very skilled technical support. Autogeek.net. That's where I go for all my detailing needs. That's autogeek.net. Patrick, we're back. So I want to talk first, before we dive into this book, more about your business, because you are a multifaceted kind of guy. Along with riding bikes long distances in the cold, this Rev Muscle Cars, you do a lot of different things there. So kind of walk us through that business and all the different services that you provide.
Sure. I mean, you know, I end every single email, I sign every single email with Keep the Hobby Fun. And so all the services we provide are really designed to do that. Every point of contact that represents a hassle that's normally associated with the hobby, that's typically either the acquisition or disposition of the cars themselves, we handle. So if you're looking for a car, we will help you find that car, execute a national or even international search, find out what it is that you're looking for, why you want it, and make sure that we find the one that's most congruent with those needs. Mm-hmm. Same thing when it comes time to sell a car. I mean, I've been brokering cars in full white glove concierge service since 2003, so nearly 20 years. The cars never leave a person's possession or control. Unless you have a storage issue that you need solved, then yeah, we'll help you find a place to house the vehicle while we're offering it for sale. But we handle everything soup to nuts, evaluating the car on the front end, letting you know what we think fair market value is, giving you a gray sheet that says, hey, here are the things that you can do to the car to enhance its market value, helping you find the right people to do that with if you don't have your own resources, just in prepping the car for market, marketing the car through our networking channels, through online media, social media, and even print still, and handling every single one of those interactions through delivery to the new owner. So you don't have to do anything as a seller except cash a check.
Nice. Well, and with the growth of online marketplace and auction houses, I would assume this has just done nothing but expand your world.
It really does, and there's a lot of people who've done a good job of building new, broad-based marketplaces, but they really still are a DIY kind of deal. Even Bring a Trailer, which has come on strong over the past few years, they collect a fee from the buyer when they win the bid, but they really don't, mediate the transfer of the sale, or there is no check to see if that car is exactly what was represented on the front end. And that's something that we do. Every car that we represent has been inspected by an independent third party that we've trained to inspect cars our way. They're usually recruited from ranks of concours judges, both at national and regional levels. And we also give people an opportunity to check our homework and have the car inspected prior to completing a deal. So our version of measure twice, cut once. Even with the expansion of online marketplaces and online auction, there is still a lot of need and relevance to what we do. In fact, sometimes we'll even put a car out to auction online because that might be the best place to find a buyer for one of our consigners. We still get more money for that car than you would if you typically did it on your own.
Yeah, I sold a car and Bring a Trailer for the first time. I bought that car that I sold from eBay or on eBay 13 years ago. Ended up being a great car. Went up a huge amount in value. But what I did was and it's what you're providing, I separated myself from the selling process. And I hired a guy who'd been a guest on my show, Rafi Manazian, to handle all that for me. And I just stepped back, and he even advised me, he said, don't even comment during the process because it removes the emotional person, which I would have been if somebody had said something bad about my car. Hey, wait a minute. But it allows an intermediary, which is what you provide, to come in. And that gives the buyer some confidence too, because you don't want your reputation soiled by representing something that's not what it is. And as I'm paying you to do that, you want me to be happy with the best price I can get. So it's really a win-win. I would advise anybody going forward, especially if they have a higher valued car like I had, is to hire somebody like yourself to help with the process, and it removes you from the middle of everything, which is a good thing to do, right? With the emotion that gets involved.
Yeah, that's exactly right. In addition to, when you're trying to sell a car that you're emotionally attached to, it's really difficult to become objective. It's
impossible.
Basically, what the buyer is asking is, okay, I'd like to marry your daughter, but tell me first how ugly she is.
Yeah, that's not going to go over very well, is it?
It's not going to go over very well, and that's either you're going to get upset and offended, and look, she's not going to be married to anybody, especially you, or you start to make irrational excuses like, well, look, it's not that the third eye in the middle of her forehead is awful. She just sees better than other girls.
Yeah, we dropped her a few times when she was little.
Yeah,
that's why she's a little slow.
Right. So there is definitely an advantage to it. The other thing too, with someone like yourself, who's a high profile person of reputation in the community, and we've sold for plenty of people like that. As an intermediary, I can edify you. I can go, look, this car is really good because Mark owns it. And this is the kind of stand-up pillar of the automotive community that Mark is. And, his car is reflected in his love and dedication to the hobby, or his expertise. if you said that, you'd sound like a conceited jerk.
Right. I understand.
Right?
Yeah, exactly. Sure.
Right. So it is absolutely a win-win.
Yeah, it's a great thing. I'd recommend it to anybody. Well, that leads us to this cool book. My friends at CarTech send me so many other great books they do. And I got this one, and it really stood out for me for a couple of reasons. How to Buy and Sell Collector Cars. And when I look at this book, and you and I spoke a little bit before I had you on the show here, that you really want to help people through this process. Now, you do it through your business, but the book is doing the same thing. So I want to talk a little bit about the different aspects of this book. It's got a lot of chapters in it, and we won't have time to get into every one of them, but I really want instead people to go and buy the book, of course, and get into the details. But let me first ask you, why'd you write the book?
Well, I wrote the book because I realized that as much as my business has had an impact as a boutique brokerage and made a difference for individual collectors through the years, it really wasn't having the kind of impact or effect on the hobby at large that I feel a mission of service to have. Okay. There's a lot of people who would be in this hobby that aren't anymore because they've been blown out by a bad experience. So that's one reason. There's a mission of service to it. Yeah. You don't make a whole lot of money writing a book like this. It took 2 years to write. The other reason is I was asked to, because the publisher of CarTech's best friend went to an auction to buy a 68 Yenko clone. And despite being a car guy, a lifelong car guy, came home with a truck motor that was pasted together with paper mache.
Yeah.
That was the car. Wow. And he ended up having to completely rebuild the car in order for it to live up to its original billing at the auction. And I said, listen, now that you have this, it's done. And it's been like 4 years. And now you're double your bid price into the car. When you go out into the garage and you look at the car, what's your first thought? How do you feel? And he goes, a seething anger boils up from deep in my gut.
The antithesis of what you should feel.
Exactly. And that's the thing about it, is that we're not here hawking cars. We are protecting a lifelong joy. He wanted one of those cars his whole adult life since he was a kid.
And look what the experience did to him. Yeah, it's terrible.
Yeah, that's absolutely terrible, and that's exactly why I wrote the book. To give everybody basically it's our playbook. This is the process that we use in order to keep the hobby fun through Rev, through our business, and the set of principles that you can look at and apply regardless of what your objective is behind collecting in order to end up with the right car for you.
No, it's really great. And I wanted to touch at the beginning, your first chapter is titled The Road Trip of Desire Begins with the End in Mind. Now, as all of us want to find the car of our dreams, all of us who are into cars, and you've been there, I've been there, the idea of the end in mind, I'm wondering what you mean by that. I can guess what I think you mean, but what do you mean by that when somebody starts off on the desire to fill that void in their garage?
Well, I framed it that way because usually when someone gets into the hobby, it starts out with a vague daydream. The poster on the wall, the notion that they've always wanted, right? And then they start asking people in the community what they should be looking for, what they should be doing. And they come up with a paint-by-numbers list of things that they think are going to keep them safe, buying the right car, and end up with a high level of satisfaction. And usually you get a mismatch of purpose. You're asking all of I affectionately call them cork sniffers, the people who are the concours crowd that is really concerning about changing, the parts vendor that changed on this production date and whether or not your car falls before or after that production date. That doesn't mean that you have the wrong clip, versus the correct clip. And your rules of happiness are tied to whether or not you have that clip. So all of these rules of happiness build up in someone's mind that they've got to get all of that in order to be happy, and it just ends up being anxiety, right?
Yeah.
And let's say they do find that perfect car. Let's say you go out and get a Duntoved Corvette, and you bring it home, and then you realize, well, I just wanted to go with my family to the dog and suds on the weekend, and some kid's going to lean into the car with his ice cream, and I'm going to have a fit over it, or I'm going to wince every time I hear a rock chip on the floor pan.
I gotcha.
Well,
yeah,
that's not the right car for that person.
right. Okay.
And how many, Mark, I can't tell you how many times people buy a car and then they call me and they go, I can't live with this thing. And I brace myself, and I either find out whether or not it's one of two things. One, they bought too much car.
Mm-hmm.
It's a holy relic rather than a car they can enjoy. Or they really stepped into a purchase mistake. The car's not even real. It's something that's been faked up.
Sure.
It's one of those two things. So when I say begin with the end in mind, it means getting really real with you or with yourself about what the purpose of it is. Picture yourself about how you're going to enjoy it, because you're not buying a thing. You are purchasing a time commitment, how you're going to spend your time. And if you are going to enjoy spending your time looking at a car in a building and making sure it stays spit spot finished, and then occasionally bring people over and you get to tell them about the little date codes on each little thing and why that clip is the deal and the other one wasn't, then that is the right car for you. But if you close your eyes and you think about it and go, no, the Corvette that I wanted, I'm on the 101, the top is down, there's a strong cross breeze, and I'm just knocking down the miles. Well, that's a different car.
Yeah. No, it's a great way to start. I love it. It's a perfect start. We'll take a short break, and we'll thank our sponsors as we come back. I've got a challenge question, but I'm going to mix it up a little bit for you. So keep that thought in mind, and we'll be right back. You've heard me talk about Linkage Magazine here on Cars Yeah for a couple of years now. Well, they're growing. And in 2023, they're going to grow from 4 issues a year to 6. And there's an opportunity here for you to take advantage of this growth. If you go to linkagemag.com and click on the Renew button, if you already subscribe, you can get a great deal. Use the code RENEW6 for 1 year, and you'll get 6 issues for the price of 4, or type in Renew 12 for 2 years, where you also have a great savings. Plus, they'll even throw in a free Linkage hat. How cool is that? The publisher of Linkage is Donald Osborne. He's been a guest multiple times here on Cars Yeah. He's become a good friend of mine, and I'll tell you, Linkage Magazine is one of those newer magazines that you're going to want to get. It's all about experiences, opinions, and values. It's a wonderful publication, something I look forward to getting. And now that I'm going to be getting 6 a year, even more special. So go to linkagemag.com. Again, use the code RENEW6 or RENEW12 to get that special deal. Do it before December 31st, 2022, so that in 2023, you'll get 6 issues of Linkage Magazine instead of 4. Did you know that less than 3% of all automotive technicians in the United States are women? You may not be surprised, but you should be concerned, because our country is facing a massive technician shortage right now. Skilled, qualified techs are in high demand, and we need young women and men to consider these careers as a viable path to a fulfilling life. I've interviewed hundreds of women in the automotive sector here on Cars Yeah, and I know that women make great techs. That's why I support the nonprofit Tech Force Foundation and its Women Techs Rock initiative to ensure women see themselves in the profession, the industry, and the workforce. Learn more at techforce.org today. So typically I ask people to share a big challenge they have, but I'm going to mix this up because this book to me is oh so important, having bought a lot of collector cars and over time, and I've been fortunate because most of the cars I bought have been great cars. But over time, my lifestyle has changed. So my wishes have changed. But I want to go back to the biggest, and there's a lot of challenges when it comes to training and helping people through this book and the way you do it with buying cars. But what is the biggest challenge that you see that people face when it comes to trying to buy a car of their dreams? And maybe we already answered it with beginning with the end in mind.
Yeah, you know what? That's a really great question.
I know there's so many challenges, but there's got to be a repeated message and through your book. I think I already know what it is because I've looked at your book, but what you keep running into with people when it comes to going out and trying to find the car of your dreams, whatever that dream might be. Could be a Concours Lawns dream, or it could be, I'm going to go drive it and I don't care if it gets dirty dream.
Frankly, Mark, it's making sure that people understand that they are buying a reward, that they're looking at a way to spend their free time, and that they're using it to create moments for themselves to celebrate. The biggest challenge, because a lot of the people who do collect cars are very driven people, they end up turning it into another business instead of a hobby. And that gets in the way of them really enjoying it, because they bottom line everything to dollars and cents.
You know, I knew that's what you were going to say, and this is something that is so important, especially with young people or anybody at any age getting into the hobby. They're at a point where they have the money now. I hear this over and over. It's a repeated message, and it's simple, but people don't quite get it. Buy a car because you love it, not because you think it will be worth something later. Right?
Yeah, and that's actually in. Did you read my book? Because that's in there.
I told you I already knew the answer, because I've got your book right here in my hands, but I wanted people to hear this, not just from me, but from an expert in the field like you, because it's a repeated message I hear over and over. And I have friends that do this. They always wanted a Corvette. That was like a dream when they were a kid, and they finally at a point where they can get one. They go and buy it, and they drive it home, and they say, "This is terrible. It drives like a truck. It's so precious. I don't want to even take it outside," and therefore now it becomes an albatross.
Right, and okay, so that's something that they started out actually revering, right?
Yes.
Imagine if you're getting in the hobby just as like a lot of people are right now. I was just treated to a story the other day where, guy was having a car delivered, and he was talking with the driver, and he's like, the previous load that he delivered, guy didn't even know how to put the car into gear to drive it into his driveway. and the delivery truck driver was like, hey, what's up? And he's like, oh, well, these are just investments.
Yeah.
It's like,
okay, well.
So there's two things about that. If you don't understand what you're buying, you are more likely to purchase a problem rather than a solution.
Right. Yeah.
And if you don't like it, if you don't love it, you're going to find a way to lose money on it.
Now, that's a unique way to put it. I've never heard it put that way, but you're right, because one thing that you and I know that maybe the new collector doesn't know is the market with cars is kind of like the real estate market. And we're seeing that happen again. I've seen it happen so many times over my life. Interest rates go up and car values and house values go down. And if you overpaid, it's even worse, because it'll never be worth what you paid for it, because you you overpaid, right?
Yeah, there's a yes and no. I think right now in the market, it's pretty unique because of right now, because of inflation. And the fact that most people who are buying collectible commodities like collector cars aren't borrowing money. They're trying to put money to work, or at least let it not sit in the bank and devalue.
Right. Yeah.
Because of inflation. They are looking for tangible assets to put that money to work. And therefore, car prices are continuing to go up. Now, that's not the same as the used car market or the new car market. I'm talking about the collector car market. There's still a lot of demand behind it. And the first thing that you should do before you decide to do that, especially if you're new, especially if you've never done it before, is really understand the kinds of cars that you're looking to invest in, and then back into, hey, make sure you're buying something that you like. It's like when you invest in when you invest in the stock market, you look at your computer screen, and it's either green and then you're happy, or it's red and you're not. At least with a car, you don't really gain or lose money until you actually sell it. And if it's down, at least you can go turn the key and drive down the road, or walk into your barn and enjoy what you're looking at. And it doesn't matter what the spot price is or the current market is on that car at the moment. And if you're structured correctly, hey, you're not worried about whether or not your car is performing well or poorly in the market right now. It's not a first line of investment. It's a second or third line investment. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. Well, there's a ton of chapters in here for you listeners to learn all about this entire process. Patrick's put it together in a very concise way. I want to talk a little bit about you, though, and your passion for cars. Is there one special vehicle in your life that's really stood out?
You know, I've been giving a lot of thought to this, and I won't. It's not really fair to call it one special vehicle.
Okay.
Okay. When I was a kid, about the time that I was getting my license before I could really drive, I either would ride my bike or walk to my job. And I worked at McDonald's. I either open or close one night and open the next morning, back to back. Mm-hmm. And along that route, there's always a guy who had it looked like a one-car garage, but it was like double or triple deep.
Okay.
Okay. And it was always either late at night or early in the morning, and he had a bare bulb, fixture on. And in the glow of that, he had a whole bunch of vintage Mercury Cougars. So 67 through 70. And he was I got to know him because I'd hang out and just watch him, not say a word, and he wouldn't tell me to get lost.
Nice.
So I just kept coming by. And it turns out he was a Ford mechanic, a local Ford mechanic, and he actually showed me how to wrench, and really cemented a passion for cars that I already had. And even when I bought my first car, I brought it over, and he showed me how to do an alignment with chalk and a measuring tape. Showed me how to dial it in and that kind of stuff. And so, to me, that Mercury Cougar really holds a special place in my heart. I'm a freak for those.
Yeah.
And if I had a bucket list car, it would probably be a 68 GTE, with the 427 in it.
Yeah.
Just because, and as I did research, that led me to one of my favorite figures in the hobby, Dan Gurney.
Oh yeah.
He's I know people love Carroll Shelby. I met Carroll, had breakfast with him. I respect him. But for me, the guy who's the total package as far as performance-driven, results-oriented, and a kind man and a good leader, that was Dan Gurney.
Great guy. Yeah, he's super. So I'm a bit of a car psychologist. I have an unofficial degree hanging on the wall somewhere. Yeah. If you were, I'll have to find it though. If you were manifest, reincarnated as a vehicle, what would you be and why?
Okay, you're gonna laugh.
Good. I like laughing.
Carol Yarborough drove a 61 Ford in NASCAR from 64 to 67. It was a Fireball Roberts car, number 99, purple and gold.
Wow.
Okay. And this was the world's fastest Ford stock car, and holds a really early record. It was smashed by the Dodge Daytona, but it did over 170 miles an hour with Fireball Roberts at the wheel at Daytona International Speedway in Florida. And the reason I like it is because it's an absolute mongrel. All right, Kelly Yarborough's team put this thing together. It's a Ford with a 482 stroke Hemi in it with stacked injection. He brought this car to the races, and you have GM with all their trucks and all their engineers and all their money, and they get their ass handed to them by this farmer.
Sure, yeah.
Who knows what he's doing. And they were so frustrated, they protested and, stamped their feet and made him, and NASCAR made him add 300 pounds of steel plate ballast, and he still won races. So I like that. If I were a car, I would be that thing. It's like, look, know-how, innovation, grit outperforms the machine, so to speak, and if it were 100% that car, I'd put it in street trim and painted a very unassuming color.
Have a sleeper,
right? Total sleeper. The other one that comes to mind, there was a guy who It had a 12,000 mile unrestored original paint 71 6-pack CUDA, tawny gold with a gold leaf painted top from the factory, white interior with wire wheels and white walls from the factory. Okay. And the story goes that kid graduated college, parents said, we're going to buy you a car. And he wanted a big block 71 CUDA, and mom said no. And dad said, we're going to do what we can to get it for you. And they basically told mom that the 6-pack on the hood meant that it was a 6-cylinder.
Yeah.
So she signed off on the purchase. Every time that kid would line up to somebody else at a street light, not only because it was a wire wheels and white walls with tawny gold, not only would he would serve up, a loss to them and a side of embarrassment.
Yeah.
I like that. I really like that. So please underestimate me. Go for it.
I love it. Wonderful. Well, I always recommend a book. And of course, today, this book by Patrick Krook, our guest, How to Buy and Sell Collector Cars, published by our friends at Car Tech. I'll put a link to that book so you can get your hands on it. If you've got somebody in your life that wants to get into cars, or a young person, this would make an awesome gift, by the way. It is the holiday season, so there you go. So I'm going to enable you to go on the ultimate drive. I'm going to buy you any car in the world, park it in your garage, and you can take it anywhere. And you can take anybody with you, even somebody who's no longer with us, which opens up the world of opportunities. So what does the ultimate drive look like for you?
Well, I think I mentioned Dan Gurney earlier.
Yeah, so take Dan with you. That would be cool.
We're doing Dan Gurney and I are doing the cannonball.
Oh my gosh. Okay, now we're in trouble. Yeah. Because he did that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. That's what I would want to do. Dan Gurney and I in the cannonball, and
what are you driving?
Maybe the ambulance.
Oh my gosh.
Maybe the ambulance, or even crazier, my favorite wing car, which not a wing car, Fin 50's car, right?
Oh, sure.
The 59 and 60 Buick.
Oh,
right?
Yeah.
Now, the most evil-looking version of that body style is a hearse.
Mm.
The 1960 Buick hearse is the most evil-looking thing that ever came out of Detroit.
Yeah.
So I'd pile Dan Gurney up in one of those that he prepped, and we'd do the cannonball.
Well, maybe put Dom DeLuise and Burt Reynolds in the back seat, just for fun, because they add some humor to the whole thing. So that sounds like that's a very unique answer to that question, but I like it. Well, you've taken us on a really fun ride today. I kind of thought you would, and this has been great. You certainly love to laugh, and you've made me laugh today, which is wonderful. Before I let you go, would you share maybe some words of inspiration or wisdom with our listeners?
Yeah, I mean, the tagline to my business is "Find what drives you."
Perfect.
And I started this business out of a necessity. Through the dot collapse, the dot bomb collapse of the early 2000s. I was an IT recruiter, helped other people through their careers, and I just put myself on the couch, so to speak, and said, "Listen, if I was going to spend my time doing something, I didn't have to worry about money. How would I be spending my time, and who would I be spending it with?" And it was car guys. It was car people. It was that community. And I wanted to have a positive impact on that community. So my advice to anybody, if they're looking for a direction for their life, a sense of mission and purpose, to live out of that sense of mission and purpose, is bring yourself through that same exercise. If money and time were not an issue, who would you be spending time with, and how would you be making a positive difference in the world? And that is what drives you. So do it.
I love it. Well, you fit right into the mantra here at Cars Yeah, inspiring automotive enthusiasts, people that have wrapped their passion into their careers, and along the way, they're helping other people, which is even better. So bravo, my friend. You figured out the secret sauce to life. How can people learn more about you? And now you have a rev site. You have a website, revmusclecars.com, right?
Yeah, that's the business website. For the brokerage, if you're looking to buy a car or sell one, or need help finding one or managing a collection. I also made it really simple for the book and all the social media context and things like that. It's patrickkrook.com. Krook is the last name. So patrickkrook.com. And the links to all the socials and stuff like that are there.
And if you want an autographed copy of this book, go buy it at that website. There you go. Absolutely. I'll put links to these on Patrick's show notes page on the Cars Yeah website, so you can look him up and check everything out. I want to do a thank you to our friends at Car Tech. Wes there connected me with Patrick. So Wes, thank you very much. Check out Car Tech. I'll put a link to their website too. They produce a huge number of very, very useful books, a lot of how-to books, and a lot of other books as well. So check them out. And like I said, for the holiday season, books are the ultimate thing to buy your car buddies, because we all want a big library full of car books, right? And these books can teach you a lot of things. Patrick, thank you for being so generous today with your time and your expertise. Until you and I talk again, I'll see you down the road.
You got it, Mark. Thank you for having me on. Appreciate it.
You're welcome. This was fun.
Thank you so much for joining us on today's ride here at Cars Yeah. Drive on over to carsyeah.com to find show notes and inspiring automotive fun. Download your free copy of Filler Up, a fun book filled with gorgeous photographs of fuel filler fun, including quotes from more inspiring automotive enthusiasts. Download your copy today, and we'll see you next time on Cars Yeah.